The age-old question, eh? Which is better, dialed or wild? Now, I'm assuming that if you're watching this video, you probably already have an understanding of what those words mean. But if you don't, dialed stands for dream-induced lucid dreaming or dream-initiated lucid dreaming, and wild stands for wake-initiated lucid dreaming. So basically this means with a dialed, you are already dreaming when you become lucid, and with wild you go from a waking state directly into a dream state. Now these are the two methods of getting lucid, and as you can imagine there's always quite a lot of debate over which is the best to use. So as someone who uses both, I'm just going to weigh in a few things here. Dialed is pretty much always targeted towards beginner lucid dreamers. It is seen as being the easiest method to try when you start out lucid dreaming. Now with dialed there is a lot of daytime practice, which can be pretty tedious and stressful, I think, if you are starting to lucid dream. I guess there's a lot of information that you have to take on board, and I think sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming for people and they don't always see it through. I think as well with dialed is there seem to be more techniques for getting lucid using that, and I think again with a lot of people they see that there are so many different techniques available and they don't really stick with one for a long period of time. They kind of jump between a lot of them, which was a mistake that I made in my beginning years of lucid dreaming. Dialed kind of relies quite heavily on reality checks and the dream journal, because typically in a dialed the way that you get lucid is you will notice a dream sign and that will spark off awareness, and you will then do a reality check to make sure that it is indeed a dream. Sometimes dream signs aren't always there, sometimes it's just spontaneous awareness which triggers off the lucid dream. So you kind of do need a high level of awareness really if you're going to go with dialed. And of course, you know, the dream journal helps with that. It helps with you becoming more accustomed to your dreams and the kind of things you dream about, what patterns, what things regularly occur, you know, dream signs, things like that. And obviously the reality check helps quite a lot there, because you know, if you practice reality checks a lot, then it will definitely leak over into your dreams at some point. I find with dialed as well, when I first started learning how to do it, my dreams were pretty short and they were pretty groggy. Like, I didn't have that full awareness that I expected to have. I guess when a lot of people talk about first becoming lucid, they always say how it becomes incredibly vivid and lifelike, which is true, but I think a lot of the time when you're starting out, it can be quite... your level of lucidity isn't as good as you kind of hope it to be. Now, you know, obviously, it's different for everybody, so you might suddenly, you know, dialed for the first time, and it might last for a really long time, it might be an amazing dream, but I know for a lot of people who are starting out, typically their first lucid dreams are just them questioning the dream, and if they do get lucid off the back of that, the dream can only really last a few seconds, you know, because you're not really used to it. So a lot of people do opt for wild, and it is typically seen as a more advanced form of lucid dreaming, although there is a lot of again, there's a lot of debate about that, because when I first started learning I always knew that as the advanced option, but then I've heard people say that it's the easiest option, and that really confused me because I'd always known it as this more advanced one. I guess the thing with wild is you don't, like I said, it doesn't require as much daytime practice. All it really involves is you waking up at the right time during the night and then falling back asleep and transitioning straight into a dream. Now, the reason why I think it's not always the best way to start when lucid dreaming is because you have to experiment a lot with your sleeping pattern, and you have to know the right time in your sleep cycle to wake up. And this can take a lot of experimenting. It's not always an easy thing to do. You might get lucky and get it right straight away, but typically I don't think people do get it right straight away. Problem with wild as well is if you are a person who struggles to fall back to sleep once you've been woken up, then it's not really going to be very practical for you to do wilds. Especially if you're someone who has to wake up early for work or other responsibilities. You know, jeopardising your sleep obviously isn't a good thing. That's one reason why I choose DILD over wild, is because if I don't sleep properly, even for one night, it can really, like, my mental state can go downhill really fast, and it's not worth it. So that is why, for me, I don't typically use wild. Also, if you have a partner as well, it might not be a good idea to, you know, be waking up at various times during the night in case you end up waking them up. So that's also something to take into consideration there. Also with wild, a lot of people feel like their lucid dreams are much more vivid and they have more awareness in their dreams than they do with DILD. And I guess this is because you are going from being conscious and awake directly into a dream, so there's no kind of lapse in your consciousness or your awareness. So I must admit, a lot of the time with wilds, when they start out, they are quite vivid and I am more aware than I might be with a DILD, but just because you have this awareness to begin with doesn't mean it's going to stick throughout the whole dream. If you don't practice awareness during the day, I think it's very easy for the dream to kind of just fizzle out and turn into a non-lucid dream. You know, same with if you haven't learned how to prolong your dreams. Again, you know, you can have a premature awakening, you can get excited and wake up if you're not used to it. I'm at a point now where DILD is just the more practical option for me. It works well for me. I roughly get lucid anywhere between 5 and 20 times a month. It's usually on average maybe like 10. But, you know, I can have lucid dreams nearly every other night, and I use DILD. Now, I'm not a natural lucid dreamer. I have been doing this for 6 years, and I think I'm just at a point where I have found the right remedy for me to get lucid, and I can do it on quite a regular basis. And my level of awareness in dreams is pretty high. I mean, not always. I still have premature awakenings, and I still have lucid dreams that last, you know, maybe a minute. But I also have lucid dreams that last like 10 minutes, maybe more than that. I mean, some dreams have felt like a good 30 minutes to an hour before. And, you know, I can get like maybe 3 major goals completed in one lucid dream. I could probably do more sometimes, but, you know, I realise that if I don't wake up and write them down, I might forget a lot of the fine details. So, you know, I never thought I'd get to a point where I have to wake myself from a lucid dream rather than it fading. So, you know, DILD can still be just as vivid and aware as a wild can. And just because, you know, you go from being conscious to a dream with wild doesn't necessarily mean that your level of awareness will stay consistent throughout. The level of awareness and vividness, I think, is pretty much going to be the same with either method you use. Like I said, at first wild seemed kind of more vivid because I was transitioning from a conscious state straight into a dream, but now I'm at a point where DILD is just a better option for me and I have much better lucid dreams with it. So, you know, this is really down to the person. I don't think there is a better technique or method or whatever. Really, it's what works for you, and what works for you. And if someone tries to tell you that you should be doing this technique or you shouldn't be doing that technique, just don't give them the time of day. I mean, honestly, it's your body, it's your mind, it's how you work, it's what works best with your lifestyle. You know, you've got to figure these things out for yourself. So what can I say about DILD and wild? Neither is better. They are just two different ways of getting lucid, and it's completely up to you. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. I think I've said all I can really say on the matter at this present time. So, you know, if you like this video, please leave a like, please leave a comment as well, and if you would like to, then feel free to subscribe to this channel. Okay guys, see you in the next one.